4 teenage girls. One small yogurt shop. A single December night that left an entire city shattered. What was supposed to be a quiet shift turned into one of the most horrifying unsolved crimes in American history. 30 years have passed. Suspects have come and gone. DNA has been tested and retested, but justice remains just out of reach. Hello and welcome back to another gripping true crime story, only on Vanished Files. Today, we're reopening the chilling case of the yogurt shop murders. This isn't just a tale of tragedy, it's a deep dive into a botched investigation, mysterious suspects, and the relentless fight for justice. Buckle up, because what you're about to hear will stay with you long after the screen fades to black. It was a cold December evening in 1991. When 4 teenage girls were wrapping up their shift at a modest frozen yogurt shop in Austin, Texas. The place was called I Can't Believe It's Yogurt, a cheerful name that gave no hint of the horror about to unfold. By 11 p.m., the shop was nearly empty. Amy Ayers, just 13 years old, had come with her 17-year-old friend, Jennifer Harbison. They were joined by 15-year-old Sarah Harbison, Jennifer's sister, and 17-year-old Eliza Thomas. No one knew this would be the last night of their lives. The next morning, firefighters responded to a blaze at the shop. Once the flames were extinguished, a grisly scene was uncovered. 4 bound, shot, and 3 of them burned beyond recognition. The murders shocked the city of Austin to its core. Amy Ayers had been shot twice, once in the back of the head and once in the torso, but somehow her body ended up furthest from the others. Forensic experts believed she had managed to crawl away before being shot again. Sarah and Jennifer Harbison were found stacked on top of each other, bound and gagged. Eliza Thomas was beside them, also shot and burned. The brutality was staggering. Early investigations offered little hope. The fire had destroyed most of the evidence. However, a few witnesses reported seeing 2 young men near the yogurt shop that night. One said he had seen them exiting the shop suspiciously. The sketches based on those witness accounts circulated in the media, but no viable leads emerged. For months, the community mourned. A candlelight vigil was held, and the city erected makeshift memorials outside the scorched remains of the shop. The police interviewed hundreds of individuals, but continued hitting dead ends. Each year, as December approached, local media revisited the tragedy, reminding the public of a case that remained painfully unresolved. Then, in 1999, almost 8 years later, detectives reopened the case with renewed vigor. This time, 4 men were arrested: Michael Scott, Robert Springsteen, Maurice Pierce, and Forrest Weld. The men had been teenagers at the time of the murders. Police claimed that fresh interviews and psychological pressure had led 2 of the men, Scott and Springsteen, to confess. The confessions were alarming but inconsistent. Scott's account placed him in the shop, while Springsteen did the killing. Springsteen's story contradicted that, claiming he shot 2 of the girls, while Scott assaulted the others. Despite glaring discrepancies and a lack of physical evidence tying them to the crime scene, the police moved forward. In 2001, Springsteen was sentenced to death. A year later, Scott was given life in prison. Pierce and Welburn were not prosecuted, largely due to insufficient evidence. But soon after the convictions, DNA tests revealed something disturbing. The male DNA found at the scene didn't match any of the 4 accused. This revelation rocked the case. Appeals were filed, and by 2009, both convictions were overturned due to concerns over coerced confessions and the exclusion of exculpatory evidence. The men were released. The public was outraged. The justice system seemed to have failed not once, but twice. As time went on, the case attracted attention from investigative journalists and true crime communities online. Independent sleuths pored over the files, comparing theories and digging for clues that might have been overlooked. One particular name began circulating in these forums: Carlos Gonzalez. He was reportedly seen near the yogurt shop the night of the fire and had a violent criminal past. Though his presence was noted in the original investigation, he was never thoroughly questioned or charged. In 2011, the case took another turn. New DNA technology uncovered a partial male profile, again not matching any of the original suspects or Gonzalez. Detectives were now chasing a ghost. The families of the victims, especially the Harbisons and the Ayers, continued their fight. They held annual memorials and started public petitions demanding justice. Sarah and Jennifer's mother, Barbara Harbison, appeared on national television, her voice shaking as she begged the killer to come forward. Meanwhile, multiple documentaries revisited the case. Netflix produced a feature-length episode within its true crime anthology series. Other creators on YouTube and Spotify kept the conversation alive. Each episode added more scrutiny to the Austin Police Department and the flawed handling of the case. Journalist Lauren Campbell took it a step further. She published a groundbreaking book titled Cold Flames, which uncovered internal documents suggesting police had been under political pressure to close the case quickly in 1999. Some officers later admitted privately they had ignored crucial leads. The yogurt shop itself was demolished in 2002, but the spot became a makeshift place of remembrance. A plaque was installed in 2015 that read in memory of Amy, Eliza, Jennifer, and Sarah forever in our hearts. People still leave flowers there to this day. But in 2020, a new theory emerged. A former inmate named Dante Rivera, who had served time with one of the original suspects, claimed that a fifth unknown individual had bragged in prison about knowing the real killer. Rivera described the man as tall, with a unique tattoo on his neck. Police released a sketch, but again, no arrest followed. In 2023, the FBI offered to assist with advanced DNA process to recreate facial characteristics from unidentified DNA. The results suggested a male of Hispanic descent, aged between 25 to 35 at the time of the murder, and likely still living in Texas. This led to a renewed push for public tips. Billboards went up in Austin, anonymous tip lines were flooded. A few witnesses from 1991 came forward again, recalling odd details they hadn't thought important before. One witness, an exemplier of the shop, recalled a man loitering near the back door the day before the murders. He had asked about the closing time and left without ordering anything that lead was logged, but never followed. Another clue emerged from forensic reanalysis in 2024. A single burned receipt, previously overlooked, was found to contain partial fingerprints not belonging to any of the known suspects. Authorities now believe the killer may have handled it just before setting the fire. Now, over 30 years later, the case is still officially open, but no one has ever been convicted. The families remain devastated, but their resolve is unwavering. They continue to hold annual memorial walks and use social media to keep the pressure on. For Austin, the yogurt shop murders remain a scar on the city's history, but it also serves as a rallying cry for better policing, for modern forensic methods, and for the relentless pursuit of truth. Amy, Jennifer, Sarah, and Eliza, for young girls with dreams, laughter, and futures stolen in one unspeakable night. Their story isn't just about loss. It's about endurance, love, and a community that refuses to forget. Perhaps one day, the final piece will fall into place. Until then, the yogurt shop murders remain one of the most haunting unsolved crimes in American history. 3 decades later, and the answers still elude us. For young lives taken, families left shattered, and a community still haunted. But the question remains, will the truth ever come to light? Or has the killer been hiding in plain sight all along? If this story moved you, don't let it be forgotten. Hit that like button to honor Amy, Jennifer, Sarah, and Eliza. Subscribe to Vanished Files for more deeply investigated true crime stories every week. And drop your theories in the comments. Who do you think did it? Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and remember, some cases vanish from headlines, but not from memory.